Well, look at this, weapons of mass destruction. That's where they started. Look what the ships were like before, Pops. That brought people from Europe to Africa. These guys were like saying, hey, hang on, where are you taking our cattle? Look, here's the cattle. And you can see there they are behind the cattle. And suddenly the chief said, hey, hang on, we loaned you the cattle. Where are you taking it now? You're taking it to your boats. Hang on a sec. They're all army officers. These guys never had peace when they came to this land.
It says here, a prisoner was put the question, are you guilty? And then tortured until he admitted his guilt or was released.
You see where they hanged you? When they were asking, are you guilty? They hanged you there, they put the rope.
What did they do there, Dad?
Well, they used to string a rope there, my boy, and ask whoever they tied down here if they were guilty of something or not.
If they've been guilty to the police, then they'll tie them up there.
Well, I wouldn't, like that, they would tie you like that. But I wouldn't say those were police, they were just a bunch of hooligans from Europe, my boy. They didn't care whether you were guilty or not.
It's half of what he
And they were climbing up like this without being hanged.
Exactly. They were not nice people.
The Europes?
Yeah, they were from Europe. They were a bunch of hooligans from Europe.
You're a Europhile.
Really?
European style.
Me?
Yes.
Well, I may be, but I stick up for my ancestors wherever I go. Well, Mommy doesn't want me to tell you in detail how they did it. So I'll wait until you are a bit...
When you're 21.
I think that was quite insensitive of Sipho, actually. I mean, Kai is half European, but somehow his comments made me realize that I had no idea about who my ancestors were or how they ended up in this country. My mother was a van der Walt and my father is Schutte, which made me an Afrikaner, but I had been raised as English and had never considered a personal link to the Afrikaans history I had learnt at school. And now that my 5-year-old son has started asking me questions, I know that the time has come to find this history and explain it all to him. My natural interest lay more with my mother's bloodline, as I had a vague notion that the van der Walts had made a stamp on South African history. What sort of stamp, I was yet to find out.
We're from the van der Walt family.
Yes.
In South Africa. And I'm basically trying to find, the roots of my ancestors.
It's a very, very interesting family because it's one of the most numerous families in South Africa after the Van der Merwes and the Botas and the Nels.
Okay.
So because the ancestor had, I think 9 children in a very short period, within a very short period, and they were all from his only wife. And he was from the Friesland and she was from German descent. She was second generation in South Africa, but her father was from Germany.
It's Bayes.
The Bayes.
This is for Afrikaans genealogy.
Mostly for Afrikaans genealogy.
Right.
And many of the so-called brown families, because you can't sort of dissect the brown and the white genealogy. It's all interwoven.
Oh, okay. So is there a brown division of the Van der Walt family?
Not as far as we have found so far, but there might be descendants amongst the brown.
Yeah, from that area, basically.
So far, I had established that I was probably 100% white, and my little boy would be the first brown person on the Van der Walt family tree. The roots of the family tree began with one man, Gillian Andries, who arrived on the shores of the Cape of Good Hope in 1727.
Now, we don't know why Gillian Andries came out to South Africa, but it would have been at a time when there was chaos in Europe after the wars, and the Dutch East India Company was the main employer of men at the time. And he came out as a sailor on a ship, and he landed in 1727. And when he became a free burgher, he moved up into the area of Sutherland, which is a very cold area of South Africa, and it was called Die Koue Bokkerveld, which means the cold goat fields, because there were a lot of springbuck there. And he lived on his own in that area while he was building up flocks of sheep or goats, whatever it was that they were rearing. He married Johanna Weyers.
Okay.
And they raised quite a large family. They had sons and daughters, and there were 5 sons. So there's Andries, who died, Hendrik, we descended from, Chart, Johannes Petrus, from whom we are descended indirectly through a female line, a female member of one of his descendants, and the youngest son, Nicholas.
I had come across a book called The Afrikaners, which spoke about the Van der Walt brothers, and was on my way to meet the author, hoping that I would get more of an understanding of the kind of lives my ancestors lived in the frontier days.
It started in about 1770 when the trekboers, that the white cattle farmers who migrated to the interior, when they moved beyond what today is Port Elizabeth and settled in the Suurveld area between the Fish River and the Sundays River, and then moved up to where Somerset East today is, the Bosberg area, and where they encountered the Xhosa-speaking peoples. Both of them had supplanted the Khoi people and the San. In a certain way, I think the Africans and the white trekboers, the predecessors of, or the ancestors of the Afrikaners, were very similar peoples in the sense that they were both cattle farmers, put a very high value on cattle farming, high value on good pasture land, good grazing and so on. But the economies of the Xhosa-speaking people and the Afrikaners were quite different from the economies of the Bushmen, which were hunters. And all over the world where cattle farmers and hunters encounter each other, they slaughter each other. I mean, they actually they can't coexist, they try to get rid of each other. And of course, the Afrikaner cattle farmers had superior technology. They had guns and so on. The Bushmen only had poisoned arrows.
I knew that Sipho's Mierche clan was from the Eastern Cape, and I had to wonder if his Xhosa ancestors and my Dutch ancestors had met on those killing fields in the frontier days. So we have decided to take a road trip through the Eastern Cape and Karoo in search of our history. I am hoping to understand what drove these people of mine into such harsh conditions and harsh behaviors. So do you know where we're going, Kaiki?
Eastern, to the Karoo and Eastern Cape.
Yeah. And what you're going to do there?
Is Eastern Cape at Cape Town?
Uh-huh. Do you know what we're going to do there?
Farm.
Yeah.
To make another farm.
We're going to check the ancestors out. Did you say my ancestors are the baddies?
Yes.
That's
Some
good.
some of yours are good guys. And mine are, all of mine are good guys.
And who are your ancestors?
Xhosa.
Is it? And what about the Europeans?
They are mine.
Some of them, you see, that's what we're going to find out, if there were any of them that were good. You know? But why do you say mine were the baddies?
Some of them are bad, I say.
What do they do that's bad?
Fight white people.
Yo, yo, yo. Yo, yo, yo.
We are starting off in Middelburg, where I have been told about a family museum on the original farm of Gila Andries's youngest son, a shrine to the Van der Walt frontiersmen.
Don't throw me stuck in my farm!
Hi.
Here I discover that even the streets are named after my ancestors, and it always amazes me how little has changed in these small towns.
And more special, apha kwi-meat caro uyawuphawula into yokokuba uba uke wane relationship nomntu omhlophe akafunwa laa nto umhlophe nangabanye and ujongwa in that eye into yokuba uyowumixa nenye ihlanga kanti ke thina we said kwasister bethu go there is people ngabantu abanye bayaphila. Yes, we can never stand in front of them. Yes.
Kalubuza akhona antiyawazi amayirha.
Amayirha? Yeah, akhona.
When are we going, Gillian? When are
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, but we can always come back if we need to.
Okay.
If there's a Miyecha chief.
No, it's not a chief, but there are Miyechas around. They would know.
Old people.
Yes.
Okay.
Ingwave.
Because we just say, yeah, because my ancestors are also from Middelburg, you know, but the other ones, the other ancestors.
Okay. Okay. Ngaba kwabani apha eMexico?
Van der Walt.
Van der Walt. No, there is bakhona abantu abaza kuba-sister kuloo nto ubafumana.
But they were here in the 1700s, you know, fighting the Xhosa and the Khoisan.
Makhoisan. Kaloku into eyenzekayo.
They were the baddies, as my son says. He says, my people were the goodies, his daddy's people were the goodies, and my people were the baddies.
I have arranged to meet a distant relative for the first time at the family museum, Dries van der Walt. Dries still lives on one of the many farms the Van der Walt brothers staked out for themselves in the 1700s. When I arrived, I was struck by the pride the Van der Walts had taken in their history and how well preserved it was. But it was this visit that made me realize just how little I knew about what it means to be Afrikaans.
I'm Dries van der Walt.
Hello. As you know, I'm here looking. I'm from the Van der Walt family.
Oh yes, oh yes.
From the brother Hendrik.
Okay, brother. Yes.
Hendrik
okay.
and then Nicholas.
Okay.
Nicholas Chart. But I brought the map to show you.
Okay.
Okay, but probably because all the names are related.
Van der Walt are related to each other in some way.
Yeah.
Can you tell me why don't you speak Afrikaans?
Me?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
You are van der Walt. Your grandparents were Van der Walts, and you don't speak Afrikaans.
Yeah, I know. And my father's Schutte as well.
Yeah, and your father's Schutte as well.
Yeah, but
you grew up in Pietermaritzburg and in Zimbabwe.
Yeah, which are both very British places.
Yes.
And then my grandfather only spoke High Dutch.
Oh yes.
So he didn't ever speak Afrikaans.
Okay.
And then my father, in Natal, Afrikaans people had a different feeling about themselves.
Yes.
There was a big class difference between English and Afrikaans. So when he married an English woman, well, my mother, half English, he pretended he wasn't Afrikaans for a while.
Oh yes.
But anyway, as a result, I lost my Afrikaans roots completely. I didn't even know about my history, which is why I'm on this journey, you know.
Okay.
You look very Dutch, you do know that. Because when you go to Holland, there are lots of people
Well, actually,
similar.
I'm a South Afrikaner for how many? 7 generations, 8 generations.
Yeah.
From Andries Gillian.
So do you believe we are African?
Yes, because after 7, 8 generations we were African. Because in Zimbabwe it may be a little bit different because the British were there about 100 years. So you can say Zimbabwe is actually not for the white people. But in South Africa, there was large parts of this country that has no people on it, that was not populated at all. And so the white people came into that open land and they developed it, built their farms and so on.
And the Xhosa people, there were thousands of Xhosa people.
Yeah, but they were actually to the east of the country.
Being?
On the eastern side of
Eastern Cape, you mean?
Yeah, Eastern Cape, on the eastern side of the Fish River.
Okay.
And there were large parts of this country that was totally unpopulated, and that's where the white people built their farms.
Okay.
And for 7-8 generations, this farm van Vierenskraal, which I owned, is part of me.
So there are going to be no land claims against you?
Not at all.
Are you sure?
I've got the transport and maps that was dated in 1857 when my great-grandfather took ownership of that land. That was the cards and the transport was given to him. 1857. So you see, it's 150 years.
I can't believe this.
This was actually the room in which the Reformed Church was, where the
formed.
Where the Reformed Church was formed in Middelburg. So, not in South Africa, but in Middelburg.
Oh, in Middelburg.
Yeah, in Middelburg.
Okay. So they were doppers then.
They're doppers, yes.
Are you a dopper?
I'm a dopper.
Okay. Is this beard part of the dopper?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
No.
So what does it mean to be a dopper?
Oh, actually, no. It's just a way that you interpret the Bible. I believe Afrikaans people is placed in South Africa with the purpose to spread God's word in this part of the world.
So this is where people kneel.
Yeah, when they got married, they kneel in front of the pulpit.
Can you imagine? Look, all these knees that have been on here.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Baie dankie.
Plezier. That's a plezier.
Unbelievable, huh? I mean, he's such a sweet man. He's really nice. But he honestly believes that they came here to save you, darkies. You know? Is it true that black people generally prefer the Afrikaners to the British people?
Not necessarily, but what black people will tell you, what I used to hear since I was a young kid, was that the Afrikaners or the Boer was better because if he didn't like you, he simply didn't like you and you would be honest about it.
Okay.
Whereas the English was like a mouse. In other words, the liberals. What they would do, they would come with their liberal approach whilst they were oppressing you. They would oppress you with a smile in their faces. Whereas the Afrikaners, were straight to the point that a Kafir must know his place, period. And you knew exactly where you stood with the Afrikaners there.
This is Paul Kruger, who I happen to be descended from. He married a Van der Walt, one of the Van der Walts, that's from my bloodline. Can you believe it? I can't.
Well, I can.
Why?
From all that I've heard.
Of what?
The Van Houten,
Yeah, okay. I didn't know. I had no idea that we were
sometimes
I thought we were some insignificant... I've never even embraced my Afrikaans roots before. I've never even been interested. Now when I do, I find out that, my family tree has got all these the Dopper Church, the beginning of the Dopper Church in the Cape, If you knew when you met me that I was descended from all these people, architects of apartheid, would you have run a mile even faster?
I have already, gone through my sentimental feelings, my feelings about your ancestors. I even went to do time due to those feelings on the harshest of all prisons in South Africa. The fact of the matter is, they may have taken the land from my ancestors, therefore a reflection that they won the battle. Yes, they may have won the battle, but not the war. So I want them to know.
We are on our way to visit the gravesite of one of my ancestors, the notorious Chart van der Walt. Chart is recorded in history books as a hero and legend, often referred to as the Lionheart. And it was here in the Baviaanskloof that Chart met his fate at the hands of the indigenous people.
Chart van der Walt had a very, very fair skin and always rode a white horse. Oh. And he was nicknamed he was nicknamed the White God by some of the indigenous people because if cattle was raided and there was a counter-raid, retribution was quite swift. And in fact, on the last commander that he went on, the leaders of the Bushmen and Xhosa who were in that particular kraal at the time, and where he was shot, shouted out from the heights, "There lies your strength. What will you do now? You may take our cattle this time, but we will get them back again."
So Chart was a force to be reckoned with,
yes,
in other words.
Yes, he was a force to be reckoned with. And it was a great loss to the Dutch farming community when he died, because although many men were prepared to follow him, they were very independent people and they wouldn't follow anybody that they didn't want to.
Chart van der Walt came to my attention because he seems to have been virtually the only frontier farmer who actually had great leadership abilities. But Chart van der Walt was really a very impressive figure because one of the key characteristics of the frontier farmers were their indiscipline. I mean, everyone was really, they were highly individualistic, sometimes almost anarchic. And the commanders that went out there, most of the people's immediate objective was to get their cattle back, or try and raid some cattle, some new cattle. Whereas Van der Walt said, no, we must try and establish a border. A border, then it'll be the Fish River because the government of the time had actually demarcated the Fish River, but it was really just a line on the map. It really meant nothing.
The following morning, Mr. Robertson, a local businessman, offered to take us to both the monuments that were erected here in memory of Chart van der Walt, where I was to meet another distant relative for the first time. Okay, come.
Why are you wearing my shoes?
Oh, okay, whatever.
Gillian, this is Gillian, and that's Nick van der Walt.
Hello, hi.
Hello, Gillian.
I'm Gillian Schutte, but my mother's van der Walt.
Goodness, from which? Okay, that's a long
story. From Hendrik.
Okay.
We descended from Hendrik and JP van der Walt.
And all comes from Gillis.
And all comes from Gillis, yeah. You look like what I imagined Chart or somebody to look like.
I've got a very, very old picture somewhere at school of what it really looked like. He was a blondish little chubby.
Apparently very white hair, white skin, and they call him the
Very much like you, though. Yeah. Apparently, according to history, he was killed by the Hottentots in this area many years ago. No, funnily enough, not at that stage. And he was buried way back on one of the farms, dug up there at those days on the monument, and reburied.
I've heard quite a few accounts of how he was killed and how many people he shot while he was dying, and
most of that is untrue. What is actually true is that he was out on a recce. Him and one guy was out on a recce. They were camping somewhere, and he went for a ride, and he was ambushed. He ran into an ambush.
Right.
That's basically that's the real story.
And it's and they cut him up into a few pieces.
Apparently, yes. I might have been their way at that point in time. I mean,
But I mean, it would fit into the belief system.
it was belief system of theirs at that point in time. Yeah, if you eat, but not only that, I think something to the extent of if you eat a brave man's heart, you become as brave as he. You know, if you remember the old folklore and stuff, and it was most probably around those things that actually happened.
And he was known as the Lionheart.
That's right. Yeah.
See, this is what it says here. Should I read it to you, Kai?
Yes.
It says, wait, my sweetie.
What?
Ter houding van Chat Johannes van der Walt, eerste boerekommandant, wat in actie gesneuveld het, 8th of August 1802. This is so weird for me. I mean, it's just been completely out of my thinking that I would have a monument in the middle of Bavianskloof to one of my ancestors as a commandant.
So how are you feeling now that you are here at the monument?
Well, I felt quite a lot of intense energy driving into this place.
Yeah?
I mean, into the Bavianskloof. I just think there's a lot of energy around here. You get a great sense of history here somehow.
I guess so, you know, with beautiful mountains and gorges, I must say. I can also understand why parts of this area or land were so contested. I suppose that's still the case today.
Okay.
Let me say goodbye.
Ag Nick, dankie man. Dankie vir julle. Dankie almal.
Bye-bye, geniet julle.
It was lekker om jullie ouens hier te hê, really. It was great fun.
Thank you. It was very nice to
appreciate
meet
it.
you. Yeah. If you were black, you would definitely be my father. You'd be my father or my uncle, my brother, I should say.
Most probably.
That's how it's a difference.
Be good.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah.
Okay. Cheers.
Cheers,
Bye.
guys.
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye. Cheers.
Thanks very
Be
much.
good. Okay. It's the wrong hand. That's why I'm getting my crossed fingers.
The other one is...
It's tied up.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Bye. See you.
Thank
Thanks a
very
lot.
much.
I've noticed on both occasions when I've met the Van der Walts, I haven't introduced you as my husband. Did you notice?
I was too busy filming.
And I have to question that, you know? It's
Because you don't trust them
I don't trust them.
enough.
Maybe. And I don't see why, in a way, I don't know what effect it's going to have on them, you know? That one of their kinsmen is... Because these are different people. These are, you know, real Afrikaners. They probably... Joburg people are entirely different. Still, I'm ashamed of myself that I didn't just come out and say it. But it's not my racism as such. You know, it's not me being racist. It's me respecting their racism. Not respecting their racism, but respecting their freedom of choice.
Being sensitive to their racism. If they suffer from that.
If they do. Before returning to the lodge, we went to the site where Chat was reportedly killed, chopped up into hundreds of pieces, and spread all over the countryside, so that his spirit had no body to return to.
The 8th of the 8th month, 1802.
And I wonder how old he was, in his 40s, I think.
Well, he must have been quite young still. Yeah.
Sipho has gone to speak to the local elders to find out what they know of the legend of Chart van der Walt.
Wathi kufanele babulala otata apha. Otata mnyama amaXhosa amaninzi belapha. Wathatha amanye bathatha umhlaba abantu bamnyama. Amabhulu. Thenga nge-10 rand umhlawani. Funa ungena. Funa intsimi. Uthi ewe tata kaninika la 10 rand for la mhlaba. Bayinika. Akhula ke ngoku amabhulu ke ngoku usebenza ngale nto. Wabulala abantu yena ke ngoku phaa eSandland. Eklinik. Laa ndawo eklinik etyhebile. Bulala abantu. Wambulala wathi yho uzawubulala thina namhlanje. Laa ndoda uhleli apha uhleli ubulala abantu ngompu. Van der Walt. Wathi amanye hey lo mlungu solo uhlala apha ehladini umbulale. Wamsika. Koma bamthini. Inyama le. kaVan der Walt. Loo nto kutatam le nto. Yathi tata uthe lo mlungu ubulala abantu nje. Bekumyenza ntoni? Hayi andimyenzanga nekusatoni andimyenzanga nentoni ne. Soloko uhamba apha ehladini. Dubulula.
Ubadubulelani?
Udubula abantu somaso.
Ebehamba yedwa.
Hamba yedwa apha ehladini. Hleli nangu hamba wena phawu. Mhlawumbi ufuna ifuyo yakho, ibhokhwe nedonki yakho, neenkomo zakho. Dubula.
Le ndawo ibiyindawo yamaXhosa le. Tota eKapa ne? Lapho bazodiza bona ngamadoda asuke ngaphesheya laa ndawo kuthethwa inantsi khona. Ngamabhulu wodwa.
eEurope.
Wenantsi ibizwa ngeli hlobo.
eHolland.
Holland, ja.
eHolland.
Ja, badilisa apha bantu badilisa apha basuswa apha kwachithwa nezindlu zabo. Bathoba ke abantu basanganeno. Kundawo binabantu kakade le. Awutsho uba bengani abantu bamnyama ni. Umhlaba abantu bamnyama lo. Ya. Kukho ke lo Van der Walt. Wabaqenqa ke abantu uVan der Walt. Ngale ngakela ngxoka nonkunzi nomthomkhulu. Lama bhula enzile lento kusabantu bo gawula inkuni nangu siya wena ugawula inkuni phethe izembe no uyagawula no empelithweni khangela nanka ngoku ya ngalamazembe makhulu gole uqesha ulithwele nanka bheka kwamlungu uyakhuda nansi aphaka vraga into ngaka banobona sini ondiyatsha inomsika kakhulu uzanqandwa ngapho ngawo lamabhulu aze nawo apha nanko ngoku apha ngesabhoko
akufuna ungena apha ubomvu
bafuna ukufaka
ya lamabhulu thatha kutshalele phaa bavale sisicingo sentsimbi azinyoka zame kusuka phakathi azinyoka ngoku sengathi antsundu esenjenjalo lamabhulu gadi thina siyenzi loo nto ke asimawurekho no lamabhulu tatomkhulu wethu bamora kere kut lamabhulu.
The next day, we went down to the Bavians River, and on remembering the old men's stories, I could not help but imagine that Chart's spirit still roamed around this area, searching for his scattered bones, and he seemed to be playing havoc with Sipho. Kai, stay still, stay still. Sipho. Kai, who had picked up remnants of the story, decided he would look for those bones. But I convinced him that finding stones was a much better idea. I love the Bavians Kloof, but I knew it was never going to feel the same for me coming back here again, knowing that one of my ancestors had hidden these gorges and sniped indiscriminately at the very people who belonged to this land. I know at this point some would expect me to express my feelings about having an ancestor like Chart van der Walt, and this is the most difficult thing for me to do. It is a terrible history, and it is somehow connected to my family. Sipho's family history has been passed down from generation to generation, and unlike mine, was not recorded in history books and museums, but recorded in the memories and stories of his elders. And it was through them that we had already learnt that his Meerge clan had lost their royal status through protracted wars with the Boers, and wondered if there was any direct link with the Van der Walts. We are on our way to meet his elders in Port Elizabeth to find out what they knew of the frontier days.
Kule ndawo usuka Endwe apho ujonge Dordrecht kusuke kuthiwe ngumhlaba kaMaphasa.
Ulapho ulwe wadeskede baya kohlukana naye xa lapho yathi ngenxa yamawa nenazi abakwazi umfumana abelungu athi kulo lo mlungu niselapha abantu bashiya izinja bashiya ihagu bashiya izinto zabo nemfuyo yabo bahamba nje
ngenxa into bakuthi abadutyula
ayizukuta phansi
namhlanje xa usuka Endwe usiya eLady Frey ikhona ifama nangoku ogqitha kuyo kuthiwa kwadubula ingqeqe.
Akuzange nive nje igama uba lo mlungu lona ndiyaqonda ukuthi kuthiwa nje umlungu but bebeliqela xa bedubulayo. Kodwa inoba xa kuthiwa lo mlungu uyadubula bekuxelwa inkokheli yabo. Azange nithi nifumane nje uba mhlambi ngubani igama lakhe.
Into yelaxa ibinzima ngalo hlobo loba bekusizifane uba kuthiwa ngama-Baxter apho uzawuyaba ngomphi ke ngoku.
Alright, kuyavakala.
Kuthiwa ngabelungu kuthiwa lo mlungu so sasingabazi ke namagama abo ke
omnye ufana nomnye
ufana nomnye ufana nomnye.
Ukhokho bakhe uGillian nkosikazi babekuwo la madabi. In fact ukhokho wakhe bane museum eMiddelburg yayingo inkokheli yaba bantu bebeqoqodisa amayirha. Ngoku sifuna ulanda lento so that unyana wethu naye azi ukuthi okhokho bakamamakhe nokhokho becala lam balwile kodwa ke ngenxa yoba bebenezixhobo ezinzima basohlula basixuthela nomhlaba ngoku yena fanele abuyise umhlaba.
Your name, tell them what is your name.
Kai.
Your grandpa.
Kaya.
Kai.
In Zalana?
Kaya.
Kai. My name's Kai.
Okay.
Okay.
Kaya bani. Bani fani yako?
What?
What is your surname?
Singiswa.
Yo. Okay. Yo.
Hey, my boy. This is one of your great grandfathers, eh? And you're gonna see him again. And these are all the Myichas, the Myicha elders. Remember
these.
The Myichas, and you are also a Myicha?
The elders had told us the story of Queen Nonesi, a Myicha ancestor, and we were rushing to Queenstown to meet a clan chief who had promised to take us to the site of her grave. But when we got there, the chief was caught in a meeting, and we waited and waited and waited all afternoon.
So I'm gonna try again. See if the meeting is finished.
Yeah. Okay.
When it finally dawned on us that the chief's meeting was never going to end, we decided to go and find Queen Nonesi's grave on our own.
Queen Nonesi.
Queen Nonesi. Oh, cool.
It's great to be close to the mountain that belonged to one of my great ancestors. This mountain range starting there, and I'm sure this one too, is named in honor of one of my great ancestors. And I'm pleased to be here.
We had been told that Queen Onesi was laid to rest at the foothills of the mountain named after her. But finding her grave proved really difficult.
So it's in your village?
Yeah.
You sure about that?
That's what they said. They said, no, it's not here. It's in... She said straight away, no, it's in Xhosa.
Okay, cool. This is what started all the trouble in the world.
Kunjani? Isiphilile nathi Nkosi. Siyabulela. Hayi sifuna lo mzi wakwaMthixaka.
Umzi wakwaMthixaka.
Oh, sesifikile. Oh. Hayi Nkosi. Siyabulela. Ngumni isiduko?
Phahla wakwaNzulu ifake.
Ewe. Oh, ngumyirha. Ngumyirha ke lo. Usampa uziyeka thambo lenyoka lihlaba oyizondayo uvuka ibambe nasemnyameni.
Nasemnyameni.
Ewe.
Enkosi.
Enkosi. Sawucacisa kodwa. Hayi siphilile nathi ma. Inkosi akhonto ziphi. Inkosikazi lona.
Nkosikazi.
Nisuka. Hi.
Sisuke eGauteng.
Hi.
Sithunyelwe apha kuthiwe kukhona umamyirha apha.
Ungapha ezibhebeni.
Oh.
Ungapha ezibhebeni. Abakwapha uqabe.
Oh, so size kwindawo erong.
Nisize kwindawo erong.
Oh.
Dad, are we going to Johannesburg?
Yeah, after we finish.
Man, that's too long.
Uyabona kulams nomthomkhulu uyabona umthomkhulu ba? Ha ngenhla.
Ewe ma.
Yapha ke ukwasibonda pha. Uqalela kakuhle.
Oh.
Uzaqalela kakuhle nda.
Hayi ke enkosi kakhulu ma.
Uphi usibonda?
Usenate friend nentaka kukho into ezibonda nenkosi.
Oh, ingcwaba likaNonesi. Liphi? Siya kanjani kulo? Sihamba ngale ndlela. Khawuzosikhombisa ke please man singalahli kudala simane silahle.
Kwamadiba zawuhamba straight apha mntana sekhaya apha.
Oh, khona apha mntana apha. Oh, alright.
Apha ihlala khona kwehla. Yabo. Phantsi kwalaa ntaba.
Phantsi kwale ntaba.
Kuleya intaba.
Oh, yona leya.
Because kanena legama lalazi dry kuthiwa kusenonesi.
Nonesi.
Ewe.
Alright.
Did you bring something to lay on the grave?
No, I didn't actually.
We've got stones here from Bavian's cliff.
I will have to come back.
For sure,
Can't you use a stone from Bavian's cliff?
Okay.
No, no one is using those stones.
Can't we put one on your queen?
On your great grandma.
Great.
We must put one
For
on.
what?
To say
To
we
bless
did
her.
come to see where she's
For
resting.
peace in the world, Kai.
Fun, I'm doing.
Yeah, you do it, of course.
We can always get them back, my boy. Bring me the other one for you and one for me.
Okay. I'll
Yeah, my
bring
boy.
you a big one, even Dad.
Okay, thanks.
I'm having a go one, you having a toy one.
Cool. Thank you, sir.
Pleasure, guys. Careful here, Afrikaner. Mommy, are we leaving these here forever?
Yeah, for blessings, my boy. We'll take
Give me
it.
this.
We'll
Give my
take.
stone back. No, we're not leaving it here forever.
Lily Pelkanones.
We're not leaving
Oh, all right. Are you taking it back now?
Sipho, where is it?
We are not
She's
leaving
looking for
it
it.
here forever. Not leaving my stone.
Shush, Kai, that's
here
enough now.
forever. No.
That's fine. You don't understand.
I do understand.
Oh, all right.
It's not fun we are not leaving this here
Oh, all
forever.
right.
And we
You
are
think
not
out chikela ngapho okay? Shush, Kai. Shush now. Enough. You've had enough of your chick.
Whoops. He ruled Timberland. Look, he ruled Timberland.
Yeah. John, paramount chief Itika Ngubenguka of the Tembus died at Gqebenya, Eqonqa, Glengrady Street, ruled Timberland 1844 to 1851. It should be. Died on 1851.
Yeah. Is this the grave?
Yes, it is.
I knew it was. I could feel it.
Makhulu, ndicelela uxolo into yokuba ndifike ndibeke ilitye elincinci kangaka. Kodwa ndiyayivuyela into yokuba ndide ndizofikelela apha. Nethuba loba ndilifumane ukuba ndizojikela apha. Kodwa ke andigqibelisanga. Ndawubuya ndizilungiselele kwityeri elizayo. Nxe ulale kamnandi. Naphi apho ukhoyo. Umoya wakho uyaba nguwe owasihlanganisayo sisonke. Angeke sikulibali. Inkosi.
How'd you feel?
I feel good. A little bit disappointed that it's in this state, you know. I feel it's a little bit in a state of neglect. However, I cannot blame anyone. I understand that things are hard, people are struggling. Those who are capable of doing something should do something to keep the good memory of our greatest queen. One of our greatest ancestors.
Maybe we should do it.
Well, it's obviously it won't be something that happens today.
Walking away from Queen Nonesi's grave, I wondered what effect this trip was really going to have on Kai. How would he interpret the status of his ancestors' graves? My little boy, who has the blood of both an Afrikaner commandant and a Xhosa queen flowing through him. Months later, I felt that my journey had not been completed, and I needed to go back and walk on the soil of Fynwouden, where my ancestors had lived 283 years ago. Somehow, the road trip had left me with a feeling of displacement. Sipho, who was hoping I was not about to embark on a major identity crisis, accompanied me on this trip. But just as he could never understand what it feels like to be part of a colonial history in Africa, I would never understand what it must be like to walk in a black man's shoes.
Hello.
What do you reckon? Do you reckon that was a racist dog? Think he's never seen a black man before?
Yeah, well, it's so my hair behind, you know.
I don't think he's ever seen a black man before. I'm home, I'm home.
Are you really at home?
I'm home.
Have you got citizenship? Have you got citizenship status yet?
No, but I think I should get ancestral status. But no, really, it's quite amazing here. But I must say, I don't really feel a deep spiritual connection, but it's really nice to be here.
Well.
Status en stenen. Oh, nou, leuk.
Hello.
En de schilderijen naar beneden.
Sorry. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Do you speak English?
Yes, a moment, please.
Okay, sure. What is this?
This is an historical building. It's kind of a castle tower.
Yeah? Oh, right. Look down there.
And where are you from?
South Africa.
South Africa.
And my ancestors are from here, from Fynwouden.
Ah, Fynwouden.
That's why I've come here.
Juist.
But,
van der Vecht, van der Wald.
Van der Wald? You know them?
Yeah, you are well known here, your family.
Really?
Yes, because in 2000 and last year also, this year, there were members of this family who came here. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sure. So, can you? I went to look for their graves. I can't find their surname in the phone book or anything. The surnames, the fun.
Yes, the graves you mean from your ancestors?
Yeah, because there used to be. It was Gillian Andries. Gillian Andries was from here.
Oh yeah. Here on the upper side of this road there is the church, and there you can find graves.
Okay.
But more I don't know about the family.
Here I am on ancestral land. It's actually the first time I've ever been able to say that I am on ancestral land. Isn't that crazy? So here, Gillian Andries, here's my black husband on our ancestral land. I introduced you to him. We should have done a ritual. We should have bought some umqombothi for my ancestors.
Be careful, we are right in the middle of a cemetery. Too many of your ancestors might turn, you know, that cause an earthquake, you know.
That is hilarious. Do you think they're all turning in their graves?
Well, you know, maybe we should explore that outside this.
That is such a cool picture.
We would be in the epicenter of an earthquake if they are all turning.
I don't mean to be disrespectful. I've got nothing against the Dutch.
I'm not saying that in a disrespectful way, you know.
De Boer, that's farmer, eh? De Waal, Bosma, De Jong. Yes, half of South Africa's ancestors are in this graveyard.
Yeah.
Really. And half of the coloured population's forefathers are in this graveyard. Blessings to all of you. You only did what you knew how. Yeah.
Oh, really? No.
They're going to be reborn as something other than what they were. in order to learn those lessons on a spiritual level. That's why I don't feel any guilt for my ancestors. And in fact, I actually believe I might have been black in a past life, you know, at Xhosa. So,
in that case,
spiritually, I don't believe in history. Do you understand? Spiritually, I don't actually believe in history. I believe in soul evolution.
So what are you doing here? You have no business to be here.
Well, because I'm not actually a guru or anything, so I'm still full of contradictions. In case you haven't noticed. Let's go here. No wonder my ancestors went to Africa.
Why?
It's fucking cold and miserable. Although I'm sure it's better for my skin here. Mustn't miss a train, eh?
Oh, it's too late.
Keep me warm, please. Please keep me warm.
How am I supposed to feel to keep you warm at the same time?
I am not really sure what I was looking for here, or whether I actually found it. If it was a connection with my people, the truth is I did not feel it. If it was to lay my ghosts to rest and complete my journey, I cannot safely say that that has happened. But what I have realized is that although I am not my history, history has definitely shaped who I am today.